Ever feel like you understand English, but then phrases like come across, get away with, or put off completely throw you off? Hello English enthusiasts! If you don't already know, Sahar is here with English Luminaries, and all I do has been designed to build up your confidence and the fluency that you've been always looking for. Phrasal verbs could be tricky, but believe it or not, they're everywhere in everyday English. Stick around because today in this video, I'm gonna break down some of the most advanced phrasal verbs that will definitely help you reach your fluency, and also it will help you to sound like more a native speaker. Let's dive in. Let's kick things off with our first phrasal verb, which is bow out. Bow out means to leave or withdraw a role or activity. For example, after years of services, she decided to bow out from the company.
You come with me tonight, and then if you don't want to see me again, I swear I'll bow out.
Sean had to bow out of the race.
Alright, let's move on to our second word, which is do away with something. To do away with something means to get rid of something. For instance, the company has decided to do away with some of the outdated procedures.
If Henry had his way, he'd do away with the monarchy altogether.
Suggest we do away with all that? Oh, no, he says, kill them all, just make it jollier.
Next up in our list, we have a word which definitely you'll want to remember. Fizzle out. Fizzle out means to gradually end in a very disappointing way. For example, their enthusiasm for the project fizzled out after just a few weeks.
More likely, it will simply lose its nerve and fizzle out before it gets here.
Ready for the next one? Here it is. To hold out for. Hold out for means to wait for something better or to refuse to accept something less. For example, they're holding out for a better offer before selling the house.
Colonel, there is no way that we can hold out for 2 days.
You know, I don't know if my knees are gonna hold out for this.
That's all right, we'll just...
Here is another word that will expand your vocabulary for sure. Lay off. To lay off means to stop employing someone because of some economic reasons. For instance, the company had to lay off several employees due to budget cuts.
In the next few weeks, I have to lay off a couple of people.
John!
No, Al, listen, just lay off for a while.
Our next word is quite interesting. Let's take a look. Throw in. To throw in means to add something extra, often unexpectedly. For instance, if you buy a car today, I'll throw in a free year of service.
It makes me feel very peculiar when you throw in something like...
So I don't know if that's in your budget, but what I will do, I got 3 fully loaded 30-round mags in here that I will throw in for that $2,000.
Let's learn a word that is commonly used in formal context and situation. Weigh in on. To weigh in on means to give an opinion or to join a discussion. For example, experts were invited to weigh in on the debate.
They will weigh in on who they think will reign supreme while fielding the comments of our illustrious panel of sports writers.
Taylor does want to weigh in on this.
Here comes our next word in the list. Zero in on. Zeroing on means to focus closely or target something specifically. For instance, the marketing team is zeroing on younger consumers for this new product.
He could zero in on you and he knew what buttons to press.
They might be starting to zero in on your problem.
Now that we covered this word, let's move on to our next word. To come down to. To come down to means to be the most important aspect or cause of something. For example, it's all comes down to how much effort you're willing to put in.
Just when you see that cat, tell him to come down to the Algiers.
I have a feeling that for Germany, it may come down to one.
Building on what we just discussed, our next word is fall through. Fall through means to fail or not happen as we planned. For instance, our vacation plans fell through because of the bad weather.
So it would. I'm confident the deal will fall through.
Did the settlement fall through?
As we continue, our next phrase to explore is to get around to. To get around to means to finally do something after delaying it. For instance, I'll get around to finishing that book next week.
Yeah. No, I couldn't get around to it yesterday.
Didn't take you long to get around to that one.
Shifting gears, let's take a look at our next word in a list. Wind up. To wind up means to end up in a particular situation, often unexpectedly. For instance, she wound up moving to another city after getting a job offer.
18 months sober and they're still scared shitless I'm gonna relapse and wind up passed out on the floor in some dive down on Van Buren.
And then somehow you wind up overcooking the turkey anyway.
To further enrich your vocabulary, let's dive into our next word, which is chime in. To chime in means to join a conversation or give your opinion, especially by interrupting or adding a comment. It is often used when someone casually contributes to a discussion that is already happening. For instance, we were discussing the new project and she chimed in with a great idea.
Now there's someone else who wants to chime in here.
I might chime in with a yeah here and there to stay in the mix.
Now let's turn our attention to the following word, which is equally important. To scamper off. To scamper off means to run away quickly, often in a playful or hurried manner. It is typically used to describe the movement of children or small animals when they move lightly and swiftly. For example, the children scampered off to play as soon as the bell rang.
And then scamper off to another planet, another galaxy even, and you...
Oh, don't worry. We're gonna call the 911 for you as soon as we scamper off.
Squeal with. Squeal with is often followed by an emotion, typically joy, delight, fear. It means to make a high pitch, often excited or frightened sound in response to that emotion. For example, children squealed with delight when they saw their parents, or she squealed with fear by the time that roller coaster dropped. Alright, here our next one in our list, splinter into. To splinter into means to break or split something into small parts or groups. It is often used to describe the division of something, whether literally wood or glass, or metaphorically groups or organizations. Let's make an example for the literal use. The old tree began to splinter into smaller fragments after the storm. Now listen to an examples in a metaphorical use. The political party started to splinter into different fractions due to internal disagreements. In both meaning, it conveys the idea of breaking something apart or separating into smaller entities.
Ain't a one of us got as much as a splinter in his finger since I cut this head off.
The next word in our list is really beautiful and might surprise you. Hammer out. Hammer out is a phrasal verb that means to work out the details of something, often through the discussion or negotiation, until an agreement is reached. It usually refers to a process of resolving differences or finalizing something that requires effort and compromise. For instance, after hours of negotiations, they finally hammered out the deal. The theme is trying to hammer out the final details of the project. We need to sit down and hammer out an agreement that works for both sides.
Just hammer out the details with my agent and make sure there's a limo at my house.
On to the next word, to pull off. To pull off means to successfully achieve something. For instance, she pulled off an incredible performance despite the pressure.
She tried her best to pull off that Sunday's dinner all by herself.
I don't know what the hell you two thought you were gonna pull off.
The next word will help you sound more fluent. Let's see what it is. Hold off on. To hold off on means to delay or postpone something. For example, let's hold off on making any decisions until we have enough information.
You may want to hold off on that jewelry project.
What if we hold off on printing today, and instead we call the Attorney General and we tell him that we intend to print on Sunday?
And here we are at the home stretch. To wrap it up, the last one is to iron out. To iron out means to resolve the problems and get rid of the difficulties, especially in an agreement or plans. For instance, they're trying to iron out the details of the contract.
I'll need a couple of weeks to iron out the problems with the machine.
Sure, Larry can iron out all the details with you.
Okay, that's a wrap on our today's lesson. I hope you found all of these phrasal verbs useful and try using them in your real conversation in everyday English. There's also a PDF that I have created for you down below in the description. Click on that and enjoy for free. Remember that mastering phrasal verbs takes time and practice. Just do not be afraid to go over these again and try to use them in your real conversation every day. I'm pretty sure you're gonna master them. And do not stop here because there are tons of them out there and I'm having more coming your way. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more to boost your English fluency and English skills. Drop a comment down below with your own phrasal verbs. I mean, the one that you really like that we covered today. I will be more than happy to go over them and to see how you are putting them into practice. I'll see you in my next video. Keep learning and keep practicing. Take care.